What's up people, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hasan and welcome back to another video here at Most Amazing Top 10. So if you plan on raiding Area 51, you're gonna have to go in there with a bit more knowledge than I think there are aliens in there. Preparation, research and a foolproof plan are key, my friends. I feel like everyone knows small bits and bobs about Area 51, or they think they do, so I think you guys are definitely gonna need this video. These are the top 10 scary facts about Area 51. Starting us off with number 10, our secrets kill. In 1994, the US Air Force and the EPA were sued by the widows of Walter Kazaa and Robert Frost. The two contractors died while working at Area 51 because they were present when massive quantities of unknown chemicals were being burned in open pits at Groom. The men were never told what the chemicals were, they weren't even allowed to bring gas masks from home or any external equipment, just gloves. They sustained liver, skin and respiratory injuries, and that soon led to their deaths. Biochemists analyzing the men's biopsies found high levels of industrial toxins in their tissue that are rarely ever seen in humans. Of course, the women lost the case because President Clinton made Area 51 exempt from all environmental disclosure laws, and because the government never actually had to reveal what the chemicals were, so the case had insufficient evidence. I find this so unfair. It's like the case of the population of Chernobyl. Like, the people have to know what they're being exposed to, what they've gone into, so they can make their own informed decisions. You can't just put people's lives on the line. Come on people, let's think. Coming in at number 9 is the employee route. This is one of the most secret places in the world. The contractors there don't even know what materials they're working with. No civilian has ever been inside. Presidents in the past have even requested to know more, like the place is an enigma. And if you thought the employees working there would at least have the real tea, well, you're still half wrong again. National security wanted to make 100% sure Area 51's employees wouldn't ever be able to make it to work without a roadmap, so they came up with a plan. Workers show up to a certain spot in Las Vegas every day and actually get flown into work so they can't remember how to get there. Forget the employees, they had to minimize other people's suspicion and curiosities as well. I mean, employees could easily be followed, so they prevented it completely. Imagine being flown into work every day. Usually I'd say what a life, but in this case I'm really not too sure. And to top it all off, all employees are paid in cash only and have to sign their receipt with a fake name since they're part of a black project. At number 8 we have Dreamland. Before the site gained all this fame with Area 51, it was actually called Dreamland. Weird, I know. I only know of one other Dreamland and it's a water park, not an alien conspiracy site. When it was Dreamland, there weren't all these spooky, freaky stories surrounding it. It didn't make people run for the hills like it does now. It was initially called Dreamland because it was meant to be a quiet place where workers could do their job, mind their own business, and not be called out for being aliens. I don't know whose idea it was to call it Dreamland. Maybe they thought all their dreams would come true if they got all these military jets, right, or these nuclear weapons, or if they dominated other planets. I don't know. That's why they did all this testing, right? But even then, I still don't see the link between military training and aircraft testing and Dreamland. It's probably Dreamland for someone, but that's definitely not me. Filling our number 7 slot is the landing strip, and we can thank Google Earth Images for this one. Back in 2016, it revealed a strange mile-long landing strip located in Area 6, which is about 12 miles northeast of Area 51. There's also a cluster of hangars at the end of the runway, which is quite odd, and if you don't know what a hangar is, it's basically a building that houses aircrafts. No one knows what's being tested there and why the hell they have a mile-long runway. It looks sus, and based on my previous video about what the government is hiding in Area 51, this is the fully functional alien airport I was talking about. Check that video out if you haven't already. Now at number 6 is Paradise Ranch. So of course there are a number of employees that work at Area 51, and regardless of how high up you were or how much you enjoyed your job, living in the middle of nowhere in the desert is boring. During its heyday when it was a testing site for the U-2 aircraft, an engineer called Kelly Johnson tried to rebrand the area to try and convince more government workers to move there with their families, so he came up with Paradise Ranch. Far from paradise, it was actually just an area filled with rows of trailers for families to live in. That is literally it. No amenities even. I mean, at least build a grocery store or a pool. I don't know how they named it Paradise Ranch. That's the biggest fake news if you ask me. And either way, clearly the ghost town trailer area remained a ghost town trailer area. Even the picture of it just gives me the creeps. Coming in at at number 5 is the picture. There are barely any aerial pictures of Area 51 at all, and in 1974 astronauts on Skylab 4 were taking pictures of Earth for a larger project, and they happened to take a picture of Area 51. Honestly, you can't even see anything in the picture but the lake and terrain, but soon after a memo went around to them saying they had specific instructions to not do this, and that this was the only location which had such an instruction. They want to keep this so under wraps. The CIA considers Area 51 to be the most sensitive spot on Earth. So apparently now we can't even take pictures of it from space. I mean, can the CIA control what we do in space? I don't think so. At number 4 is the fire. Most of you know Tom DeLonge as the lead singer of Blink-182, but what you may not know is that he's now an alien hunter. A few years ago he went camping near Area 51 and things got real. During one night he woke up at around 3 AM and his body felt weird. It felt like static electricity was coursing through his body, and when he finally opened his eyes he realized at least his fire was still going, but there also seemed to be noises coming from outside his tent. And it wasn't just one sound, it sounded like it was coming from 20 people. Immediately he was thinking, right, I'm about to get abducted, here they are, they're not gonna hurt me, they're just talking. He tried to listen in on what they were saying, but he coincidentally passed out and woke up to find he had no idea what had happened in the last 3 hours. And having done a ton of research on the topic, Tom knew this chatter was involved in every alien contact or abduction story, so I mean he was this close. Filling our number 3 slot is the battle, and hold on because it's definitely not the battle you're thinking of. The Sheehan family has owned Groom Mine, which is a segment of Area 51, for more than 125 years. The US Air Force has been trying to buy the land off them for a very long time, offering them $5.2 million for more than 400 acres of land. They're adamant on kicking them out because even though they've been escorting the family into the space for decades, they can no longer ensure their safety. The base runs 24/7, and sometimes they even cancel missions when the family comes out, which stop being financially viable. On the other side, the family claimed it's not the tests that pose a threat, it's the military themselves. Bullets were even fired around their property in the 40s in an attempt to get them to leave. Family members have even been held at gunpoint on their own property, which the Air Force denies, and the family even tried to sue them but ran out of money. They no longer own the land that generations had worked so hard to obtain, and I think that puts into perspective that when Area 51 is concerned, anything goes. Now at number 2 is the humming. Back in 1965, Charlie Arundel was working as a security guard at a mine near Area 51, and on 2 consecutive nights he was told to shoot anything he saw on sight. Him and a few other guards were driven to another airstrip and told to guard it. The first night they all heard a weird, almost muted humming sound for half an hour, and when the sound stopped, their shifts ended as well. But as they were leaving, they saw a huge circular camouflage tent on the runway surrounded by armed troops with their backs to it. The next night they heard the sound again, but this time the tent was nowhere to be found. Now I can't confirm what Charlie saw because I wasn't there, but I feel like he was bused to the mile-long airstrip, also known as the functioning alien airport, and was told to protect the vessel as well as potentially kill anyone or anything that comes off of it. And finally, at number 1 is the BBC invasion. Breaking into Area 51 can end up in many ways. Number 1, the camo dudes can just shoot you. Number 2, you can get fined for $1,000 and go to jail for 6 months. Or 3, they sacrifice you to the aliens because you've seen too much. Never thought jail would sound good until now. Either way, this team of journalists from BBC learned this the hard way when in 2012 they broke into the site looking for a juicy story. Anything for the team, my friends. After filming for around 30 minutes, one of the crewmen knocked on a door and 8 camo dudes, which is their official name by the way, I'm actually not bullshit, came out with assault rifles and forced the crew to the ground. They all had to lie face down with guns to their backs for 3 hours until the sheriff came. All their phones, film equipment, microphones, everything were taken away from them, and that's not even the worst part. Amongst the many threats the crew received, one was exceptionally scary. "Son, we could make you disappear and your body will never be found." And I honestly don't doubt they could do that for a second. And that's it for today's video, guys. I know the saying is less is more, but with knowledge, more is more, but I feel like with Area 51, I'd just rather not know. I'd rather not know anything about it. Let me know what you guys thought of this list in the comments below, and as always, I'm your host Ayman Hasan, and I'll see you next time. Bye!